Hey everyone, welcome back to the Mark Loeffler Experience. We got an awesome show here for you today. We're going to be talking all about wholesaling deals. We're going to be talking about how to find them. We're going to be talking about how much money you make from them. We're going to talk about why this might be a great option for you if you want to get started investing in real estate and have no money, no credit. Let's get going. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Mark Loeffler Experience. We got another great show here for you today. We're going to be talking with Austin and Waylon, and we're going through wholesaling property. So a lot of you guys out there, you want to get started in real estate, yet maybe you don't have any money. Maybe you don't have any credit. You want to start doing this, and this is a way that you can start in real estate and make a lot of money pretty quickly. And in my opinion, this is one of the best ways to start, because if you know how to find properties under market value that you can then sell to another investor, you're only a step away from finding that money partner to go in on the deals with you. Like, this is, again, I think one of the perfect starts. So if people ask me, should I become a realtor or what to get in real estate? Well, it's either a realtor or become a wholesaler, because the key is finding and putting deals together. And these gentlemen have started this company 3 months ago, Ontario Property Deal. Yeah. So if you guys, we'll put the link down below, and we're going to talk about how they started it, what their game plan is, because they're really new and they're doing a lot of business already, right? Mm-hmm. So you started it when?
Yeah, around September, but we really didn't get rolling until probably like October, November. That was just kind of like some back end system. Where we really started marketing heavy was probably closer to November.
From January to today, how many deals have you done?
We're probably like 12 to 15-ish deals.
Okay. We're going to save for later how much money you guys make on, like, we're going to talk gross, we're going to talk net, because I know you guys know it. Pretty sure.
Yeah. It'd be concerning if we didn't.
Yeah. You'd be surprised. I've had some people on and they didn't know their gross and net numbers, and I'm like, that's a little...
Oh shit, we're operating at a loss.
Well, and I basically said, hey, you're like a realtor.
Yeah.
If there's enough money in the account at the end of the day, then you think you're winning.
Yeah.
When it's like, oh, you need a profit and loss statement, right? Basically, you've started this company, you're 6 months in. What are your steps to start a wholesaling business? Because you guys own a business, right? Yeah. It's not like this is, I'm going to do one or two. You guys have a business. You guys are doing 3 to 5 a month from what I can see, because I get your deals.
So I guess like it depends really on how you want to approach it, right? I think what you said about a good way to get into real estate investing, like if you want, like you can just start sending out flyers, right? You've got a phone number, you've got an Excel spreadsheet, and you can go on Canada Post, send out some flyers and field calls. You don't really need, that's a nice thing, right? There's not much involved in getting set up to wholesale independently. Setting up a business is a little bit different, right? If you want to be in this for the long haul and you want to do big numbers, you're going to need a brand. You're going to need people on your team. You're going to need a realtor or multiple realtors to pull comps. That's one of the earliest things you need to do, is like develop a relationship with a realtor, because you got to be assessing the value of these properties. Those are kind of the key steps. I think marketing and having realtor relationships are the first things you need to do if you want to start wholesaling.
Yeah. And I think with a lot of newer investors get into wholesaling, they're not really starting a business right off the bat. And that's completely fine, because it does cost quite a bit of money to incorporate, get all of the CRM system set up. So when I started wholesaling personally, even before Ontario Property Deal started, it was because I was looking for deals for myself, right, to take down. And by nature, we don't always want to take down every deal as an investor, or we can't take down every deal. So we just end up wholesaling it, right? And a lot of those are low cost efforts. So I was going on Kijiji, probably doesn't work as well now, but I was going on Kijiji, throwing ads there, skimming things on there. Just hustling, just making phone calls to exterminators, to pest control companies, anyone who touches, sees, and smells real estate. And as Waylon was saying, you could take the paid route, right, which is kind of what we're doing now, because we don't have as much time to be making all of these phone calls. You don't need to get into wholesaling by sending out flyers right away. You can put in the hustle first, so that's like low cost, no cost, get deals, and then make a bit of money, and then explore into starting a business from that.
Well, it's so funny. I was talking to my good friend Josh Doyle the other day, and he just wholesaled a deal. And I was like, how'd you pick that up? And he basically goes through Kijiji and calls all the rental ads. And because he was looking for rental properties for himself. So he was calling the rental ads and just saying, hey, would you ever consider selling your property? And this was a rental call that he had made like a year ago. And he bought like a property he wholesaled a property in Burlington. I don't remember how, but he made probably more than you were making at the bank. in one deal.
Yeah.
From one phone call.
He did that in 24 hours, I saw, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's quick.
Yeah, he flipped. Well, I mean, Burlington market, right?
Yeah.
You know, it's yeah.
I think there's like a good point there, which is that everything works, right? People will ask you to be like, what do you do? What marketing channel do you use? What works? And the answer is like anything will work. Like anything you hear about works. It's just how exactly you execute it and how much volume you do.
Well, there's that. I mean, I'm up at the cottage and I hear wholesalers advertising on the radio up there for cottage deals, right?
Really?
Yeah, like, and they're and it's an interesting one because there's like their stick is, oh, if it's not renovated, don't worry, we'll pay you the renovated cost.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I just want to call them and see how it works. Like, I'm like, come over.
It doesn't
like,
even make sense.
it doesn't. This, like, I'm a math guy, and this doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
But I mean, okay. I mean, if market goes up 60%, everyone looks like a genius, right? So
Yeah, I guess that's the one way that could be a true statement is if they're banking on like 20-25% appreciation, they can pay you what it's worth. Like the current ARV, knowing that 6 months down the road when they sell it, it'll be a lot more, or risking that anyways.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they're wholesalers or if they're actually flippers or if they just want to buy and Airbnb. I don't know, right? Like, I don't know at the end of the day what their end game is. So
I think like in this table, we're all real estate investors, so we probably know that's not true. They're not paying ARV or nowhere close to it, right? It depends on how people take their marketing approach as well. We don't advertise that. Like, we let people know straight up as like, hey, we're not going to give you the top dollar, so don't expect that.
Well, I mean, it's like when you talk to a contractor, right? You can have three things. You can have two things. Here are your three options. You can have it fast, you can have it cheap, or you can have and good quality. So which of the two or the three do you want? Right? And if you want top dollar, well, you're going to probably have to put it on the market. You're probably going to have to let hundreds of people come through your property. And, you know, and that's just what's happening nowadays. You have a bidding set up and, you know, you get that offer, right?
Yeah.
So
that's really what it comes down to, right? When people ask, why would someone sell their house for less than fair market value? And the answer is it's always speed or convenience, pretty much, right? They're trading off equity in their home for a process that they are more comfortable with. Some people really don't want anybody coming into their house, like you said. Some people, you know, we get a call from a guy that we've been talking to for a month, and then he's all of a sudden, I get a call, and he's like, I need money in 2 weeks, right? Like, selling a property in 2 weeks, you're on a tight timeline. You've got to reduce the price in order to do that, right? So it's always trading off one of those two things.
The main wholesaling place where you are isn't where you were investing for the most part, correct? Like that. I mean, you're mainly Sudbury.
Yeah, we're wholesaling a lot in Sudbury.
Like deal volume for sure, but like they're smaller deals. Like so, like from a revenue perspective, still like it like in and around the GTA, like just outside the GTA West, etc. That's probably where the majority of our revenue comes from. It's just like Sudbury's like a lot of small deals, like like singles versus home runs.
How do you pick your market?
So for us, we're really pride ourselves on being virtual wholesalers, right? So we want to work from the reason why we get into starting a business is because we want to be able to work from anywhere and everywhere around the world, right? Just have our cell phone, have our laptop, and just be able to go and just make some revenue.
To be like Brady and be Brady and Sean and be in Costa Rica.
So we want to be able to work from anywhere around the world, right? So what Waylon and I do is that we leverage social media. A lot of because there's a lot of real estate investors on social media who want to get started, who want to learn, right? But they might not necessarily have the capital or the expertise to get started, right? So these are the people that we partner with to coordinate things like walkthroughs, right? So we show them how to interact with sellers, for example, when they go for a walkthrough, to get videos and photos of the place. And we literally have like a 30-minute training video to show these individuals how to take good videos, how to inspect a property. So when they go in there and do that for us, they're learning, they're getting paid. Like we pay $40 to $50 an hour, so that's more than their full-time job hourly typically. And then for Waylon and I, we don't have to get out of the house, right? So we're not bound to a particular market. We are going where the deals are. So like if there's a stellar deal 5 hours from Ontario and we're able to get it significantly discounted, we're going to pick that up. We're going to probably find someone who can go there on our behalf, pay them for their time. They learn along the way, and we still get a sweet deal for people on our buyers list. So we're not bound to any particular market. We're wholesaling all over the place.
Yeah, I think when it comes to like the digital stuff, digital content, usually you're doing wider radiuses, right? Versus mailing is very targeted. So for mail also, we just think like, where does real estate generally probably undervalued? There's only so many buyers that can afford to pay $800,000, do a $200,000 reno, even if the ARV is going to be 1.4.
Yep.
A lot of the people who want to invest, they're younger, they don't have a ton of capital, they're not necessarily comfortable going with private lenders, or they won't get approval for 100% financing and stuff like that. So it's a lot easier for people to get into a deal in Sudbury or, Belleville or something like that than it is in Guelph or Kitchener, right?
Yeah.
So we kind of balance
Hamilton even.
Yeah, totally. And we kind of balance, like, you get more response in those tertiary markets to your marketing. There's more tire kickers. The deals are going to be smaller, so it's more work.
Yeah.
But like, that's what keeps the lights on, is like, 10, 15K fees are still, they still cover a lot of marketing. And then you kind of hit your bigger ones in the markets that are more expensive.
You said two things there that I want to touch on. First, I guess, let's talk about, so you're working with investors in other areas basically to help you guys with your business, because so basically you're the hub, and then you have all these offsprings everywhere, and then you can basically go anywhere. That's a great connection for a new investor, in my opinion. So if you guys are new investors and you kind of don't know what you're doing and you want to check it out, go to Ontario Property Deals, because they can help you out, right? Like, they can get you, like, you should be walking through properties, like you should be analyzing the deals that they have, because this is what's going to help you learn and grow and start in this business. Because I get tons of people ask me, oh, I need a mentor, I need this, I need that. Well, they're sitting right here and they're going to pay you to do it. So that's number one. Number two was, so you're marketing. So are you sending out flyers? Is it digital? Like, what are you guys doing to market for these properties? Because we know Josh did it off a phone call from a year ago. And when I had my real estate team, we were cold callers, and we'd cold call from like Niagara to Burlington. And, and again, that timeline was 6 months to a year, typically, from somebody saying, yes, I want to sell, right? So what are you guys doing?
So it's a mix of digital and mail. So we do a pretty significant volume of mail. I'd say that, like, there's a lot of people doing this now. I think it's not unrealistic to say it's probably going to cost you $10,000 to get deals like in these markets like Kitchener and Hamilton and stuff like that, because you talk to people and they'll be like, oh, I got 5 flyers this week. So
I see that on Facebook where, hey, look at all these wholesalers. Oh, one of them is mine. And I'm like, and that was Barry, I think. And I think of 5 or 7. I don't remember, but yeah.
Yeah, totally. So it's super competitive. So we do think that you need to be in other channels, right, where there's less competition. And the problem with those channels is they're harder to do, but higher barriers to entry means once you figure it out, people can't copy you as easily. So we're exploring different stuff. I think cold calling is an interesting concept, but it works in the US especially well, but there's much less distress in Canada, right? So there's way fewer people who are like, I'm willing to let my house go for less than it's worth. We just got more social safety nets, et cetera. So yeah. I think paying someone, $30,000 plus commission in a role like that, it could take them 4 months to get a deal, and you're probably going to have to pull out of the program, right? So we're exploring different things. I think that's very interesting, radio ads to do, but it's been primarily Google Ads, Kijiji, and mailers so far.
So those are more of the things that we spend money on, but we also have a team of bird dogs. So bird dogs are essentially investors, typically newer investors who are looking to break into the industry and they want to learn how to source deals, but they can't necessarily offload it themselves. So we manage a team of bird dogs, so new investors, and we kind of teach them the high energy, high effort ways to get off market deals, but it doesn't particularly cost a lot of money, right? So things like what you exactly said about Josh is what we're teaching our bird dogs to do. So our bird dogs are messaging every for rent ad out there on Kijiji and saying, hey, look, we're not interested in renting your place, but have you ever considered selling it? If you are considering selling it, please let me know. Like I'm more than happy to put in a cash offer. No realtors involved, so no commission cost, right? And it has worked every now and then. It is a bit tougher, right? Because a lot of the people who are renting it out, they don't have the intention to sell, but it is possible. We've gotten deals that way before. And then we've also been doing things like having them pick up the phone and call anyone who touches, sees, and smells real estate and saying like, hey, look, like we'll call a plumber or a pest control. Pest control companies see thousands of distressed properties throughout the year, right? So they'll call a pest control company, typically a local one, because you don't want a big brand one. They're not going to care. Call a local pest control company and say, hey, look, I'm looking at building a power team around this local area. Can I hear about your business? They talk a bit about it. Then say, oh, by the way, just an FYI, I look to buy properties in any condition. We bought an X amount of properties over the last year. If you ever run across anything that's distressed, or anything you think the seller might be willing to sell, I'll be more than happy to give you $1,000, $2,000 referral fee if you can make that connection and I can close on the property, right? If you make 365 phone calls a year, you're going to get one deal, at least minimum, one deal, right? So it's just like a high energy game. So we've been doing a mix of cost, like things that cost a lot of money, but things that cost no money as well.
Partnering as well, like partnering with newer wholesalers is something that we're going to build a program around. But basically the idea is like dispositions is a lot of work, and the sellers that you're dealing with are often not super reliable.
Okay.
Like that could be like a gross understatement in some cases.
That's typical in everything.
Yeah, it can get really intense though. So it's something where getting a deal under contract is one thing. Dispositioning it and actually making a good profit is another, and that's something that we've gotten really good at. And so kind of partnering with people who've got that first side of the equation figured out. Maybe they're independent, they have another job, they don't have the time to do all the stuff involved, and so they can partner with us, we'll disposition it, and then we split the fee according to whatever the schedule is.
Have you guys modeled this a bit off like Matt McKeever? Or I know they do a lot of wholesaling in London, at least, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, and maybe surrounding areas, but yeah, I mean, there's obviously opportunity. If you guys are watching this and you guys want to get involved in real estate, there's opportunity out there. If you have no money and you want to learn, right? This is a great way to go about it.
And let me be upfront as well. The no money way is much harder. Don't expect to get a deal in like the first 2 weeks or 3 weeks. It could take months before you land your first deal, but it's just about persistence.
Well, it's so funny because I had a guy join my team. On his first 2 phone calls, he got leads. And a year after that first phone call, they listed with him, right? So, like, you could get leads, but it's the follow-up, right? And that's where and I always told them, you make your money in the follow-up.
Totally. Oh, you can give that example, prime example in Sudbury.
Yeah, like we had a deal in Sudbury, and I talked to the guy. We'd kind of agreed to terms, and then he ended up deciding, like it was a friend's kid wanted to buy it, so he ended up, telling me, hey, I'm not going to sell to you. I'm going to sell to my friend's kid, whatever. And I just reached out a few months later, and I just sent him a text just saying like, hey, how'd it go? And he's like, it didn't. I was like, oh, okay, well, I'm still here. I'm still interested. And we had a signed contract that night. We didn't even pick up the phone. We'd already had multiple conversations, had a great rapport. And basically, 5 text messages later, I sent over the DocuSign and we had it locked up and ended up doing a pretty good business. And he knew what we were doing. It wasn't like he knew that we were going to assign it to another investor, but like he didn't care. He wanted this money. He wanted to be out by the end of the month, and we were able to make it happen.
Nice.
Yeah. And he never reached out to you. You had to reach back out to him.
100%.
Yeah.
That's just how it goes. All right, so let's talk some numbers.
Mm-hmm.
So what's your average assignment fee?
Average assignment fee is about $25,000 around there.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's your cost of acquisition for that one deal?
Cost of acquisition is probably around $600, you say?
Well, no, like if you want to think of like overall marketing, what we spend per deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, and then so it's like the marketing spend versus the entire business spend. I think the entire business spend is like 40% of the fee goes to business expenses.
Yeah.
The actual marketing ROI might be something more like 7 or 8 to 1, but to be honest, it's shrinking.
Yeah.
Right. Like I think right now there's more and more people doing it. And, when you're in competitive situations, they get squeezed down the fees. So,
well, yeah, you got to raise your price.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I think that overall, like if I even look at 4 or 5 months ago versus now, it definitely like the cost might be double to get a deal than it was 4 or 5 months ago.
Yeah. So just to give you perspective, when we were doing deals around the GTA, we're making probably $12 to $13 per dollar spent, right? Cost to revenue. When we're looking outside further from the GTA, it usually, like as Waylon says, it gets squeezed quite significantly. It could be $5, $6, $7 for a dollar spent. So within the GTA, you're doubling, right? Like sometimes even more than doubling.
Yeah. Well, and that probably comes down to price of the property.
Yeah.
It probably comes down to, obviously, like in Sudbury or Barrie or at these outlying areas, more people are wholesaling and looking for these properties too, right? Like, as you said, not everyone can just go ahead and buy an $800,000 property, right? So
yeah, exactly. What we found is with the more higher priced product, you can actually typically charge a higher assignment fee as well because the ARV is typically higher as well, right?
And you look at that and you say, okay, on a $800,000 property, if you're paying a realtor, it's going to be $40,000 plus HST anyways. So
Yeah, it's in a lot of cases the fees are not that dissimilar from like if you were a realtor double dipping the deal,
Yeah.
right? And that is what you're doing, right? You're providing a service to the seller and you're providing a service to the buyer. So it kind of makes sense that that's what it is. Not that many people who are in a situation where they want to give their house away for less than that.
Yeah. We talked numbers, we talked marketing. What other things should people know about wholesaling if they want to get in this business? They're brand new.
I think like if I were to say one of the big things, and I've worked in sales for a long time and led teams and things like that. And one thing you see, particularly with more junior salespeople, is that they're really focused on themselves and what they're trying to accomplish. And the real way to sell more in any industry is to really focus on your clients, right? There's sort of like, you kind of think that there's like some percentage of the value you create in the world you're going to capture. Right. And so the best way to capture more is not to focus on capturing more, is to focus on creating more. If you're going to get 30% of a bigger number, you're going to get a bigger number. So I think that a lot of wholesalers, just like any other sales, they're kind of looking at what's in this for me, and people can tell that, right? You go into a store and someone's trying to help you, you kind of feel dirty, right? You're just like, you feel whether or not they're true intentions.
Your natural reaction is, can I help you? No, I'm good.
Exactly. Right. And because you feel like this person's not actually trying to help me, they're trying to help themselves. So I think if you can actually truly develop the mindset that you're there to help the seller, then they're going to feel that. And in competitive situations, they're more going to want to work with you because you're actually trying to do what's in their best interest.
Yeah. And I don't want to discourage anyone, but just like a reality set with wholesaling is that it will cost money. It will take a lot of time. A lot of poop is, to lack better words, I'm not going to swear, clean. A lot of poop will hit the fan, right? And I think Will and I can attest. There are so many times in positions where we're just like the week before, we're like, oh my God, like, why is this all happening the week before? So for example, one time a property was supposed to be vacant upon possession, wasn't vacant upon possession, right? And then now we already have a buyer we assigned the deal to. So then now we got to work around the intricacies of all of that, right?
Yeah.
And that's not going to be the last time it happens.
No, that's actually already happened multiple times, right?
Yeah.
And like even when I bought my first wholesale deal from somebody else, like we showed up 2 days later, there were dogs in the house and like a truck in the, like they were not going to be out for another few days. So, and in one of the situations, guy ghosted us. There's several days where basically he was non-responsive. There was a car in the driveway, the buyers. So like there's lots of high stress situations, and because it's big swings too, right? When you have like a $25,000 fee, you're like, if this blows up, your $25,000 fee is gone.
Yeah. Right.
And you're worried about your brand. You want to provide a great service to the seller, but also to the buyer. So it's a complicated business. Like it sounds simple on paper, but the execution, because you're dealing with people and you're dealing with people who are often irresponsible in some respects. And you see that in the quality of their house, right? So things can get pretty hairy, and you've got to be able to deal with that. So if you got a day job, you might not be able to show up to work that day if you don't have a partner. You know what I mean? Like if you don't have somebody else who you trust to manage these things.
Yeah, and I mean, like it's a hot market right now, so everyone wants to be a wholesaler. Likewise, and I'm sure you can attest to that. A lot of people want to be realtors as well. I've seen people in the finance industry leave their full-time job to be a realtor, and like that tells you the market's hot. Where like your average everyday person is like, oh, I'm going to make more money in a sales role, right? Commission based. And we're seeing a ton of wholesalers come in because the market is heated. One thing that Will and I understand is that this heated market's not going to last forever. It's not going to be like extraordinarily hot as it is now.
Yeah, so it can't continue. It can't go up 40% every year.
Yeah. And so as a result of that, generally, that means when things cool down, there's going to be less buyers, which means you can't be charging as high as fees as you are now in a heated market. Yeah. Just like sellers of houses on the MLS can't, like they're charging top dollar. Likewise, in the wholesaling industry, like if you're going to see a tightening, the fees are going to decrease as well. And I think a lot of these newer wholesalers are getting caught up with hearing people say, I made a 50, 60K wholesale fee. And I mean, Waylon and I, like our average is 25, but we've obviously made more than that. We've made more than double than that in some deals, but you can't look at those deals and project that out to the next 3-4 years. Our average deal is still going to be 25K. We understand, like in the US, like we're in a mastermind. These people are bringing in 5-10K per deal, which is not a lot.
Their properties are $30,000. Let's be honest.
It's significantly cheaper, but we don't want people to get caught up in like, oh, I'm going to make $50,000 per deal, $40,000. It's not going to be like that forever. Yeah. It's going to slow down.
Everybody brags about the big ones, right? Yeah. And you don't see that there's a lot of smaller deals that took a lot of work to get, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And a lot of cost to get to those big deals.
Exactly.
Doesn't even have to do with wholesaling. 5 years ago, we went back 5 years ago. What would you do differently?
I feel like that's the obvious answers to get in earlier.
You were just getting out of high school. So.
Yeah, that's true as well, right? Still, I wish I got in earlier.
So got in earlier. That's a cop-out answer.
Yeah.
What specifically?
Okay, 5 years ago, I was a very studious student, right? Like, so I was like on the corporate grind. It's like, okay, like I want to get a corporate job, climb up the ladder. I didn't read any personal self-help development books. Never picked up one. The first one I read was Rich Dad Poor Dad, which is about 2.5 years ago. I wish I picked up at least that book in high school, because I'm sure that would have changed the trajectory of my career. It would have helped me probably choose different internships and co-ops, because I was just going for prestige. I didn't care about the skill sets I learned. Just read more self-help personal development books, sales book, really round out my skills to find out what I truly wanted to do in life. That's probably what I would have done.
You're still only 24, aren't you?
I'm 26 now.
26, okay. It's still okay if you don't know what you want to do with your life. Anyways.
Well, for me, I'm a little bit older. For me, I mean, I guess it is kind of a cop-out to say start earlier, but like, I'm starting quite late for someone in this business, right? Like I'm 38. Yeah. Most of the people I see starting out in real estate investing, they're significantly younger. I didn't buy my first personal residence till I was 36. So I just think about if I had bought 5 years earlier, like how far ahead I'd be. It's kind of crazy. But I think like as soon as I did get exposed to some people who are real estate investing, I picked their brains and very quickly decide like, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this hard. And within 3 months of that, I probably was buying my first property, and that's only a year and a half ago now. So
nice.
I wouldn't change much about what I've done in the sense that like I went at it really hard. Like I've got a day job, great career. So I have somewhat limited time, but I just, I was pouring hours into real estate every day from the start. Like as soon as I decided this is what I'm going to do, I just became obsessed.
All right, guys. Hopefully you guys got some gold from this. Check out Austin's other interview from before. We're going to link that right here. I don't know where it's going to go. It's going to be somewhere here. All right, guys. Have a great one. We'll see you the next time.